Thank you. We are now live.
Right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining this meeting. Today is Monday, 18th of August. Welcome to today's hearing meeting. My name is Councillor Tariq Mahmood, and I shall be chairing the meeting. My colleagues, Councillor Munir Ahmed and Councillor Sanjay Kohli, and I comprise today's subcommittee. We have got Markesha Grant with us, which is the clerk of this subcommittee, and she will be minuting this meeting. And we have got Ms. Davis, is our legal advisor to the subcommittee, and she is here to assist us in legal matter. So, I have introduced. So, could I ask? Can I tell you the procedure as well? If some of the people are attending meeting first time, you will have seen an agenda pack, which is contained the licensing officer report with detail of the application in section 1.0. And to confirm that we are dealing with the temporary event notice this morning is made by Ms. Ursula James relating to the Milan Palace. We note there has been a representation objection to the application from the responsible authority and response from the applicant to the representation. So on that point, I would like to invite applicant to present the application, introduce yourself, and present the application, and then I will go for question and witness. So carry
Chair.
on, Mr. David.
Chair.
Yeah.
Chair, can I ask if everyone present can introduce themselves?
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. I'm David Dadds. I'm counsel, and I represent the user, Miss Ursula, in relation to the temporary event, Ursula James. So she's obviously applied for the 10. She's the one that it's not an application; it's a giving notice.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's on the screen with me.
Thank you for introduction. Yeah, and like Councillor Ahmed requested, so can we just introduce each and every person on the screen at the moment, and I will come back to you.
Most grateful. Thank you, Chair.
Mimi.
Sorry, but good morning, everyone. My name is Mimi, and I'm from the Noise and Nuisance team. Sorry, I was reviewing something else. Sorry, I was in. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah.
Good morning, Chair. Sergeant Dimitri Kassar, representing the Metropolitan Police on behalf of my colleague, PC Mitu.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Mr. Dadds, carry on, please.
Yes, Chair, are we, do we have an officer doing an officer's report, or do I just go straight in?
Officer, the Markesha Grant is minuting and making a note, so you just carry on, please.
Right, most grateful. So, good morning, members. I'm David Dadds. I'm counsel. I represent Ursula James in this matter. You'll be aware that it's a temporary event. You've got the details in front of you for the location. Any application has to be obviously decided within the law. The statutory scheme is in relation to the promotion and licensing objectives. I thank the Sergeant for being present from the Metropolitan Police. As I understand, their objections based on, in effect, public nuisance, noise, and I understand that the Environment Health have a similar grounds. I've looked at the representation from the Environment Health, for example, and it predominantly refers to some matters nearly 2 years ago, which I would ask have little or no weight. But recently there was a complaint on the 22nd of July regarding the dispersal, the way people leave the premises, being attracted to a food seller selling nearby at the local church. I understand that from the representation, page 35, that there's one complainant from local resident, and there is no other resident who has complained. There is speculation that it might affect others, but as a public record and evidence before you, it is one resident. As you know, the Licensing Act is about prevention of public nuisance, not private nuisance. To have a public nuisance, it has to be something that has an effect on a wider society, and not just one individual. It has to be many across the section, and therefore it's not made out. If there's only evidence of one complainant, as a matter of law, that's private, not public. And I have dealt with this before at the High Court on that question specifically, that says if there's only evidence of one complainant, then that is a private nuisance, not public. I will address the concern raised in any event by Environmental Health and the Police Service. My understanding also from the Police Service is that they concerned about the food vendor. Obviously, if it's before 5 o'clock, a food vendor, they're acting unlawfully, and the police can deal with that individual because they will be committing an offence under the Licensing Act. Anyone providing food between 11 and 5 o'clock requires a late night licence. We have spoken to the church chair, and the previous incumbent, the priest, I understand, allowed a food vendor to be present. The current priest does not allow that, and so therefore there is no longer permission for that person to be there. And in addition to that, we have had, or there's been a meeting with the police, sorry, with the premises, the priest, not the police, and we've agreed some number of steps that we're going to install and maintain a temporary barrier at the church car park. We won't allow any vendors into that space. We're going to have 2 security officers to monitor and deter any attempts of anyone erecting or trying to sell food. We have parking directions, and we have an officer at Kensington Road towards Dominion Road, and we have one officer Oysterley Park Road, and we have a number of marshals outside. So in fact, we've got 5 door supervisors that we have taken on extra to look out with the car parking area and immediately outside to ensure a more effective dispersal. We have internally 15 door supervisors. I don't think the police or anyone is objecting to what happens inside. It's what happens outside. Members, I can assure you that internally, the event itself is a birthday party for someone that's 60 plus. It is going to be provided with food. The food menu is substantial. There is no reason why anyone would want to leave after consuming food to go and buy some barbecue immediately outside. Obviously, each event is separate, so this is a different temporary event from the one previously. Also, food will be available all the way up until closing. So we're going to make sure that there's food available internally so as to discourage anyone from hanging around outside, so allow an effective dispersal. Let me just check. As I say, it's really about managing the outside, and I would ask members to take into account the additional steps that the premises are doing. The food vendor is not linked to us. The food vendor is not us. The concern about people hanging around the food vendor, we understand. We don't encourage. We're going to try to deter. We're happy to work with the police on this if need be, but we're making sure there's adequate food inside, so there's no need for anyone to wait outside to have food. But in any event, the space where the individual used to pitch up is no longer available and will not be available. Unless I can assist you any further, we say this temporary event is one event. We can promote licensing objectives, and I hope that you will see with the new plan that we have that everyone will be satisfied that the one resident who complained will not complain again in relation to this event. Thank you. Do you have any questions, Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Dats, to present that application. Much appreciated. First, I would ask my colleagues first if they have got any question. So you will take Councillor Ahmed.
Yes, I do have a question to Mr. Dads. Mr. Dad, thank you. You have answered most of the questions that I had to ask. And specifically, you mentioned that there's a food available within the venue during the whole event. So there's no reason for anyone to go out and buy food if they're getting a free food inside. However, the complaints are that there are food vendors. Can you tell us why there are food vendors there, or are they selling food to those patrons who are coming out of the? Because if the patrons are having food inside, then they would not go out and buy food, and the vendors would not get a business. So I'm really not sure if they're not getting business, then why would they be outside at 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning? And secondly, if I understood it correctly, you said you are liaising with the church and the space within the church boundary is not going to be available. Is that correct? And can that be put as on record that it won't be available? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hamid. They're very good questions and valid ones, and if I can just answer them in this way. So the first one is that each temporary event is separate. So this one is different to the last, and this one is providing food all the way up to 5 o'clock. I haven't inquired exactly, but I don't believe food was available for the whole event at the last temporary event. So that was a different individual or different event. So I think that's why there's a difference here. This one is that there is a substantial food option, and also they are going to ensure that food is available all the way up until the end of the event. So there's no reason why anyone would go outside and purchase food if food is available and it's free at the point of delivery, as it were. So I think that there's a distinction. This is a separate individual having their birthday party, providing their catering. I understand that the investment in the food is beyond £3,000 worth, so there's lots of food available to their guests. The position regarding the car parking, they are, and we can assure you that there is going to be installed and maintained a barrier at the car park, preventing vehicles and potential access for only by, in effect, those who we would permit, and that's been agreed. There's going to be 2 security officers monitoring and deterring any attempts to erect food venues in or near our site, and also to make sure no one is loitering. And you've heard there's going to be at least no less than 3 individuals at different road points, making sure people park responsibly and not causing any disturbance. But in relation to the food vendor, they will not be, they don't have permission, and we've been given consent to secure the car park so as to make sure no one erects any food vending. But there should be no need, that there's not going to be any custom for them, because everyone is going to be full with either having their own food and of the consumption of soft drinks or alcohol, whatever it is, they're going to be coming out content, having already eaten food and drink within the premises.
Thank you, Mr. Dadson. Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. Now the next question is Councillor Colley. You are mute, Councillor Colley.
Thank you, Chair. I must admit that Mr. David has addressed all the issues I actually had. The fact that we're going to have security guards outside, the fact that there's going to be a barrier around the church, and there's going to be someone guiding them to the Dominion car park. Is that correct?
Yes, I have it as, yes. So there's going to be one officer at Kingston Road, one at Oysterley Road, and all directing patrons to the Dominion Road car park. So there's going to be 3 officers doing that.
Chair, I think my questions have been addressed and I have nothing to ask.
Thank you, Councillor Colley. Right. Now, I'm giving you opportunity to law enforcement for Metropolitan Police. So, Sergeant Kassad, do you have any clarification on that?
Thank you, Chair and panel. Mr. Dads, thank you, or Councillor Dads, thank you for
No, I'm not Councillor Dads. I'm David Dads. Sorry,
David. Sorry. Can I call you David? Is that all right? Or
yes,
would you
I'm
like
happy,
Mr.
yeah.
Dads? You can call me
David
Dimitri. That's fine.
Yeah,
cool.
David's perfect.
David, thank you for answering those questions. I just have a couple of things, a few questions. If it is a birthday party, why is it a ticketed event? That's something I find a bit weird. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it's a valid question, but what it is that so as to recoup the cost, the guests are making to make sure it's managed and that they share it's a birthday. They are in effect making sure it's ticketed and everyone's making a contribution. There's not prohibited to that, and it has happened historically that as long as you could do it actually technically even without a temporary event license, as long as you don't overtly make a profit. However, I wouldn't encourage them to do that. This is the right way to do it. So it's not unusual. It's to cover those costs.
So it's almost like offering something to a charity, like a charitable exchange for using the event and the food, etc. type thing.
I think it's like if I come to your birthday party and everyone just has a whip round, £20 each.
Yeah,
it's like that.
Fair enough. Thank you. The other thing, when I spoke to Miss James, she said the only time she can get is from the particular venue is this time frame to 5 a.m. I'm wondering, and not trying to cause offence in any way, but for us, when we look at it from that crime and disorder act, public nuisance, antisocial behaviour, generally those really late finishes, with potential intoxication and all that kind of stuff, that's when it looks like, well, from our records, the ASB increases. It's because of that lateness of hour. People have had longer to drink, etc. So it contributes to that kind of crime and disorder. And I understand what you have said, and thank you for addressing. I agree, each event is its own specific event as such. Each one should be taken on its individual basis. With the ones we've had prior to this, there hasn't really been a plan to this extent that you've issued. So is there anything in writing in terms of a event plan as such, stipulating all these conditions you've suggested to the panel, myself and the council?
So answering your questions, you've asked a couple. If I could do it in that way, I think,
absolutely. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Not a problem. Look, I think it self-regulates because they know each other. However, we have insisted that we have door supervisor. Internally, there's 15. So, and the maximum capacity is 400, as you know. So the reality of it is there's like almost one door supervisor for 25. It's like incredibly high as a ratio. So we don't see any matters arising crime disorder. We will manage that internally, and I don't think there's any evidence in the objection based on that. I think the main objection is about the church car park, getting people to the cars and getting people dispersed, and I think we address that in that way. What was it? That was your first really main point. What was your second one? Sorry, I do apologise.
The second one was based on the lateness. So why those excessive hours? Why are they always required?
Well, I think that's what that community and that individual wants to do, and it's not unheard of. In fact, I would probably encourage it if it was another hour later, because it's less. The dispersal will probably be a bit earlier in the day or the morning. But I think there is a gradual dispersal. That don't think for a moment that at 5 o'clock you're going to be at full capacity. It won't be. People will leave over a period of time. That's the latest it will run. So it may run even earlier. So the reality of it is that's the latest. And I think from a crime and disorder point of view, there isn't any. And from a public nuisance point of view, there's only been one complaint on the last 10. But as you say, each 10 is separate. This is this individual's birthday. It is one-off. You asked about the plan. It is in writing. I have got sort of got a speaking note, which I've got here. And if you want afterwards, I'm happy to send it to the committee clerk. I've got it in electronic, and because I've only prepared it over the weekend, I thought it wouldn't be right for me to send it this morning. But if you want, Chair, I'm quite happy. My speaking note that I addressed you on that sets out those plans and steps, I'm happy to email over to everyone afterwards to make sure that you've got a written copy of what I've read out.
Right, Mr. Daz, that could be helpful. That is a good idea. Could you please do that?
Yes, I'll see if I can do it now while the others speak.
Okay, Mr. Dads or David, thank you for answering my questions. I don't have anything at this stage, Chair and panel. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, Sergeant Kassar. Is there any other question? Yes, Mimi.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a couple of questions for Mr. Dadds. With regards to the public nuisance comment, I appreciate that he's making reference that we only received one complaint. And I'm not that, I am familiar with the Licensing Act, but from what I read, it's a guidance, and it does state the licensing regime is about prevention of nuisance, not just response. So based on the previous incident, and we're here because we're trying to prevent public nuisance. And again, going back, I appreciate there's only one complaint, but that doesn't mean that other residents are not affected if they're not complaining to the council. And unfortunately, the Southall area has the reputation of not contacting us, and we do have lower number of complaints, noise complaints. It's just some residents do not know that we have a service. They do not know what their rights are. And as you know, there are a lot of residents living in the vicinity of this premises, and they just do not know about the service, or they've been, if they're tenants, they move on, they stay there for 6 months, they move on, or for a few months and they move on, and no one follows it up. Over the years, we had other residents, but as I said, they moved on, and maybe the new residents don't know, but that doesn't mean that we cannot prevent that
question.
Chair, can Mimi ask only a question at this time, and then you can present later?
Okay. Sorry, it was a bit of a long question, winded question. Yeah, going back to Mr. Dad, sorry, I went on a rant. Is with regards to why is he referring to public nuisance, not like one individual is not important. So he's saying that one of our residents, if he's affected, if he's reporting, and I'm sure other residents are affected because they reside very close to the premises. Why is one resident not important? And the premises can do what they would like, what they like. But that resident that we have, his rights, their rights are not important.
Right, one moment, Chair, sorry.
Mr. Dats, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, thank you. That's very kind. I've just, whilst listening to that, I've just sent to Ms. Grant my speaking note, so that's gone off.
Thank you.
And I've just received a copy back in my box, so there. So, well, I don't want to be disingenuous in any way, but I think that submission about we don't care, I didn't say that. Those were your words. What I made it quite clear is that the Licensing Act, if you are refusing a tenant, it has to be on the basis of public nuisance, and public nuisance has a definition that it must be so widespread that it affects a number of His Majesty's subjects. So it has to be quite widespread. If it's just one person, then it would be a private nuisance, not public, and wouldn't fall within the statutory framework and scheme. So therefore, the evidence that you have produced, which is your primary evidence, which is your objection, is based on a private nuisance, i.e. one objection, not two. Notwithstanding, you say it may have an effect on wider, you'd have to obviously provide that evidence, because he who asserts must prove. So if you're asserting that, you must prove that. But we haven't sat back and said we just ignore that and we just raise a technical or a legal argument. We've actually put down a full plan saying this is how we're going to address the parking. This is how we're going to address your concern about the food vendors. So I think actually my answer was very clear that we are not dismissive. In fact, we've put steps in place to make sure that going forward we promote the licensing objectives.
Thank you. But if you can clarify which section of the Licensing Act states that has to be more than one person, and it doesn't state that the licensing regime is about prevention of nuisance.
It's so, Chair. Sorry, let me answer the question if I may.
Yes,
Chair,
Mr. Dats,
you've got your legal advisor. The term within the statutory guidance, public nuisance has a wide common law definition, and it's trite law that public nuisance must affect a wider group of Her Majesty's subjects, or His Majesty's subjects now, and therefore the law is very clear, and any decision you make has to be based in law. So that is the position. I don't say, and I do not say, and I agree with you that councillors are forward-looking and must take steps to prevent public nuisance, but any decision they make must be based on evidence, and any evidence obviously is before them. That any representation that is made has to withstand its scrutiny, and if you've only provided one evidence of complaint on the last 10 of one individual, that's not a public nuisance. They did not create a public nuisance from the council's records, notwithstanding what you say. But look, I want to get away from a legal argument and be practical about it and say, look, these are the steps that we are going to make, and each application or each 10 must be judged on its own merits.
Thank you, Mr. Dats. Mimi, are you satisfied with this reply?
No, not really, because I have asked where does it state in the Licensing Act that it has to be. I did some research and I have not been able to find that it has to be multiple people. As I said, the licensing regime is about
Just 1
prevention.
minute, Councillor, yeah, just
Case law.
on that point, I would Councillor Ahmed, just 1 minute. On that point, I would ask Ms. Davis to for her view on that situation.
Yeah, chair point before Ms. Davis comes in. Yeah, we will get a clarification, but we have got the panel has got the point from Mimi and from Mr. Dad, so I don't think we need to argue on that. We do understand both point of views, but I'm happy to take Ms. Davis' view on that.
Mr. Dad, I will come back to you, but first I wanted to hear Mr. David's view about one complaint or is a public nuisance and is a private complaint.
Yeah,
Ms. Davis?
The the case is Hope and Glory that says public nuisance is one that materially affects the reasonable comfort and convenience of a class of Her Majesty's subject, not just one individual.
Right. Thank you for clarification, Mr. Dads. Ms. Davis, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Chair. I would, and I hope this does assist. Ealing policy actually sets out what, in particular, also Ealing's approach is in regards to public nuisance, if I can directly quote it. As public nuisance is not narrowly defined in law, and with a view to ensuring that the licensing policy objectives are achieved, the licensing authority will work to a broad definition of public nuisance when relevant representations are received. For the purposes of assessing representations, public nuisance retains its broad common law meaning. It could include both nuisance affecting a few people as well as more major disturbance affecting the wider community. It may also include the reduction of the living and working amenity and the environment of interested parties in the vicinity of the licensed premises.
Ms. Davis, you agree though it can be a few, but it can't be just one.
I agree with that, Mr. Dads. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you,
Chair,
Ms. Davis. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Chair,
Yes, Mimi,
Chair,
please.
Chair, I don't think this point is really a sticking point for the panel. I think we can move on from here. Panel have understood whether we need to consider this or not as a public nuisance. So I don't think we need to really spend more time on that. But obviously, it's your
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad. Thank you for your suggestion. Mimi, would you like to say something on that?
So it was with regards to the complaint, and going back to, I do not have just the complaint. We also have CCTV footage obtained from our council records, which shows that it provided the previous events. Again, we're not talking about this event, but previous events have caused a widespread nuisance.
Thank you. Thank you for your information, Mimi, and referring us back to the previous event. Thank you for that. Yeah. If there is no other question, I would like to say that, Mr. Dads, could you conclude your representation and we will move on?
No, sorry, Chair. That will be at the end if the authorities can give their representation first.
Yes. That's you. I mean, like, what is your objection, Sergeant Kassar? So you have got opportunity to represent yourself.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, panel. I know you have a written submission regarding my officer, PC Mitu, regarding the complaints. Yes, our evidence is based on 2 previous occasions, which I understand is a historic element. And that's what leads us today to our objection to this particular temporary event notice. The dates are referred to, as you have the written submission, is on the 13th of July and the 6th of July, on which there were 2 temporary event notices which occurred. So the premises, so these events which are run by Ms. James have come to our attention recently, which has caused and residents, in our opinion, to experience issues where these events are held. This ranges from loud music, cars, horns beeping, raised voices, people in the streets, and so the egress causes the public nuisance and antisocial behaviour and minor crime and disorder. Police we've attended the council CCTV, not me, but a PC Mitu on numerous times to prove or disprove these complaints. And having viewed the CCTV extensively, there have been breaches of the TINs which have been found in terms of the lateness of hours, etc. So if I can reflect, and as Mimi has stated, there is CCTV, which I believe she has at her disposal to show you. And if we do that, whilst it's not I don't necessarily know the process, but we could show that to show you the impact it does have on the community at large. And the reason we'd like to show you the visual evidence is because whilst whilst a group of people may not have complained, it does show an impact. So on the 13th of July, the reason this has come to our attention is a firearms incident was declared outside Milan Palace at the time. Large groups are seen leaving the venue, etc. Police have attended.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that's not in the
No, hang on.
representation.
David, I understand. I'm just
It should have
explaining.
been put in beforehand.
Mr. Dats,
Absolutely not.
Mr. Dats, you have got opportunity to say what you want to say. Let Sergeant Prasad finish his representation.
Well, with the
All right, I'll
greatest
retract
respect,
that.
you've got your
I'll
lawyer
retract that.
present. You've got your lawyer present. I'm not to be ambushed here with alleged call for complaint of firearms, CCTV. You've got your lawyer. It's not,
Mr.
not on,
Dats,
Mr.
could you, Mr. Dats, yeah, can I bring Ms. Davis here? Ms. Davis, what's your view?
Thank you, Chair. Parties raising objections are required to stick to matters that have been raised, particularly within their representations. Sergeant, I think that's quite a distinct matter that you've raised.
Yeah, you're right.
That hasn't been referred to.
I'm just aware that was what's come to our attention, so I'll retract that comment. Anyway, on the 13th of July, it shows large groups of people emanating from the event at Milan Palace, who then begin to congregate on the street, the pavement, church car park. Cars are parked in the church car park, people loitering in and around this area. There is what I understand to be a cook-up barbecue set up outside the church and exactly outside Milan Palace. These food vendors, which, as Mr. Dads has stated, are not linked to the event that occurred on that evening, are outside, which then allows for the group to congregate even further for a longer period of time. At that time, 2 scuffles shown on the CCTV, people standing in the road, and just in terms of the residents there, at 5 o'clock in the morning leading into 6 o'clock in the morning, I don't think this is it would have a large impact on the community who reside in that particular area. And once again, just because they necessarily haven't called the noise complaints team or police in this instance, doesn't mean that they don't have their own concerns regarding this. The other 10 we relate to is on the 6th, which is quite similar in terms of the egress of the event. Cook-ups are outside. There's a large truck on the pavement directly outside Milan Palace, and again serving food to patrons who are leaving Milan Palace. So my argument here is that those particular vendors are aware that this event is occurring, and so the egress, the people who have left the venue are then buying food or loitering around these particular trucks in terms of causing public nuisance and conglomerating and loitering. So residents are routinely subjected to excessive noise, ASB and minor disruptions. The events described above continue well after 5 AM and well after the events which are due to finish at 5 AM. Ms. James was shown the CCTV and we showed her what was happening and pointed out that in some case, when it is an egress of an event, it is her responsibility to maintain that egress in an orderly fashion, because the event is her event, people are leaving her event, and in order to cause minor disruption and minor antisocial behaviour and an impact on the local community, it is down to the event organiser to make sure that that egress is done in an orderly fashion. On these 2 particular incidents, that wasn't the case. Okay, so in light of this and the 2 incidents I'm portraying to you, this is why we have made an objection to this temporary event notice, because we feel that prior to what Mr. Dads has stated to us today, that we were concerned that a similar approach would occur on the day of this particular temporary event notice. So that is our concern, and that it would have an impact on the local community who reside on the residential roads in and around Milan Palace. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sergeant Kassar. All right, now I will open for the question for that. Councillor Ahmed, have you got any question for Sergeant Kassar? Go on.
Yes, Chair, thank you for that. Sergeant, thank you for your presentation. And you have raised the issues that you put in your written submission. However, after the presentation and the plan from Mr. Dadds, where he is proposing to barricade the church and make sure there's no food vendors in the church, there is no congregation in the church, and having security guards who are guiding the patrons to go into the car park, and making the food available during the whole event so that no one needs to go out and pay for the food and buy it. Have you changed your mind? Does it make any difference to your submission, or you are still sticking to your point?
Chair, if what Mr. Dadds has proposed in terms of the management of this particular event, and it's a big if those things, if the conditions he's given to us, then I would say yes, we probably have a bit more faith in the event being run in an orderly fashion. Our concern is not necessarily what happens inside the venue, because yes, there's no issues there, but it is that egress that does cause a major issue. And it, even if when you do see the if we are permitted to show the CCTV, I don't know, but you can see it does disrupt people going to work. It does disrupt the bus routes, because the way the cars are parked and everything, it does cause a major issue down that particular stretch of road. You know, utilizing a place of faith's car park without their permission, and it's just a given. And I understand that in this instance there is a different approach taken. You know, that is an impact to the community, and parishes who are concerned about going to church on a Sunday morning, and you see this and it can appear to be intimidating, you know, that is an impact on the community. But if, and I state if, a strong if these things that Mr. Dadds has proposed with regards to the event in terms of the event plan, then police would be reticently, we would be okay with it, but they have to be adhered to strictly, sir.
Thank you. Also, Chair,
do you have further question?
Yeah, I just want to add, Sergeant, if there are food vendors selling on the road, on the pavement, not in the church car park, then they need a license. They need a license for the hours they are selling. They need a license for the location. So it would be the council's responsibility to enforce it. And I'm pretty sure in this occasion, if the food is available during the whole event, as Mr. Dadds has elaborated, then I don't think food vendors will be interested to come out and not make any business. So thank you for your answers, Mr. Kassar.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor, with regards to those vendors, as you rightly say, police don't have we don't process the licenses given to those particular people, so we would be none the wiser, and I'm sure Mr. Dadds would agree with me, we would be none the wiser who those vendors were, because we hadn't been given any temporary event notices from those vendors. If they were, or a trading license or a street trading license, we haven't got any of that stuff to hand, and I don't believe, I'm not aware of the council having processed any licenses with regards to those particular vendors.
Right. Councillor Colley, do you have any further question? Councillor Colley, you muted yourself.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Question for the Sergeant. Obviously, each TENS event is separate. Obviously, we're talking about a birthday party for a 60-year-old person. So I think the crowd to some extent will be greatly different. We can't compare this TENS event to the previous two. I don't know the nature of the previous two events. Will that not give you, obviously with all the extra precautions they are taking and the fact that it's a birthday party for a 60, does that not give you greater confidence that the level of nuisance or the amount of nuisance in this case might not be there at all because of the nature of the event and the age group we're dealing with?
Councillor Coley, it may be and it may not be. I don't have a thing to predict in the future in terms of that, but yeah, I suppose age, although we shouldn't discriminate on age, but yes, age, people, shall we say, are more mature in their approach to life as we get older, one would think. But again, I don't know the extent of the whole age demographic that is attending it. If they're 60 years old, there might be some youngsters who could destroy it for the few, if that makes sense. So, and again, I'm not going against people's human rights to know who's attending this party, because that's not what I'm alluding to here by any stretch of the imagination. But all I'm saying is, yes, it would, but one can never predict. I hope that's a relevant enough answer.
Oh,
Thank you,
Councillor Colley. Yes,
Chair, I
Councillor
don't
Colley.
have further questions.
Thank you, Councillor. There is any other question? I can't
Mr.
see.
Dadds might have question. Mr. Dadds might have question.
Yeah, Mr. Dadds.
Chair, I'm going to leave mine to summing up. I think
Yeah.
I'll best do it that way.
Carry on submission. Your submission is important. Go on.
I think
No, it would be
Mimi,
Mimi. It would be Mimi at the moment, Chair.
Next.
Mimi would give her presentation.
Maybe would you
but
like
as
to
I
say something? What Mr.
I
Dadds?
have
Yeah, go
Yeah,
on, Miss Mimi.
through you,
I have to
Chair.
make my representation.
Okay.
Can I say through you, Chair, before the officer starts, so I don't interrupt? I'm not expecting to see any CCTV because I haven't been served with any, and it would be inappropriate for me to see it now, given that we're halfway through the hearing. And I'm sure that Ms Davis will agree the same.
Well, it's been noted, Mr. Dadds. So yeah, Mimi.
Chair, if I
Yeah.
could just address what Mr. Dadd has said now, just perhaps to also assist Mimi. This is clearly governed by the Licensing Act Hearing Regulations 2005. In considering any representations or notice, a party, the authority may take into account documentary or other information produced by a party in their application or representations either before the hearing, which is not the case here, or with the consent of all the other parties at the hearing. Now, Mimi, it seems clear that Mr. Dadd's made it clear that he doesn't consent to CCTV being played. He hasn't been provided with that previously. Therefore, the regulations without consent of the parties at the hearing doesn't permit it to be played.
Okay, I do have one question. Thank you for clarifying that. I have emailed and not myself, but other my manager emailed from the Suffolk Communities team with regards to this and made the Democratic Services aware that I will be playing the CCTV footage during this hearing. So we notify the relevant parties that we will be playing this.
Ms. Davis.
Can I ask, Mr. Dadds, did you have any notification of the CCTV that was going to be played prior to the hearing?
I can say only on what I've read. I haven't had any reference to it in the representation, and on my papers, I don't have any reference to it. I can't say any more than that. And the team that's been managing it, the individual that's been putting it together for me on Friday, is not in the office today, so I can't ask her. But certainly on the correspondence that I've seen, there's been no reference to CCTV.
Okay, thank
And
you.
it could really,
Makisha might have some
So-
answer. Makisha.
So, yeah.
So
Yeah.
one final question I wanted just to check. Mimi, you referred to reference to it. Was the actual CCTV provided to other parties? The actual CCTV beyond the reference?
No, it wasn't. We weren't asked that. We didn't know we have to send the CCTV footage. If we would have been notified on time to do that, then we did. But as I said, we have informed the Democratic Services that I will be playing CCTV footage during the hearing.
So, sorry, Markusha, would you like to say something on that point?
Yes, I will say that that was mentioned this morning. I had responded to the email. I had spoken to our legal advisor, Miss Davies, to confirm if it would be okay to share that with the panel and if other parties have received that as well. And the decision was that we weren't able to share that because other parties have not been informed of the CCTV footage.
We have
Thank you.
we have notified you last week, not today.
I had only seen that today.
yeah, could I just respond very briefly?
Yeah, go on, Mr. Dan.
But I think there's a lot of toing and froing. The reality of it is, if it was essential to the representation, it should have been included within, or at least then sent thereafter to all the parties. It's not for the licensing authority or democratic services to inform the responsible authority of what the law is and what they can or can't do. It's within guidance, and the statutory guidance makes it, and the regulations of what is expected and how to serve evidence. So there's no fault of any other party. The Environment Health should, as a responsible authority, have served it on everyone if they want to use it today. I don't want to prolong it. I don't want us to be seen as disruptive, but it would be unfair for me to deal with it right now. So on that basis, I do object to any CCTV being shown for fairness.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dad. So what we are concluding it here, Ms. Davis, so we will not be considering and maybe will not be showing that video on that committee. Is that right, Ms. Davis?
That would be my advice, Chair. Yes.
All right then. Thank you so much for that. Right. Maybe is there anything else you want to say apart from that footage?
No, I'd like to make my representation.
Okay.
Can I make my representation?
Go on, please, Mimi.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First, I will address the issues with regards to as I'm the only council representative here, I will address the issues with the other regarding the other departments, such as street trading, parking, and everything else. From what I understand from the meeting that Miss James had with the police, when these issues were raised with Miss James, she said that the council should deal with it. I must respectfully disagree with that. What she's saying to us, we have to extend the noise service, we have to extend the food safety services, the parking services, just to manage a private event that's ticketed. I appreciate that this event is different than the previous and the temporary event notices, but at the end of the day, it's the same applicant. So, and going back to the comment about just one complaint received, I will stick to my point saying that I'm here to prevent public nuisance. And from what I made in the representation and from the CCTV footage, it's a widespread public nuisance. And if we would have had the resources to extend the service for our team, to have our team working until 7 o'clock in the morning, because some of these events went on until 6:30 in the morning, blocking the road and causing a widespread nuisance, we would have done so, and I would have served a Section 80 notice under Environmental Protection Act 1990, just prevention, well, mainly for statutory nuisance, for noise, no music, just raised voices. But unfortunately, we don't have those resources, and I don't think it's fair on all these departments to extend the services to manage a private event when the applicant should be the one managing it. So going back to our representation, as I said, I'm repeating myself with regards to the complaints, as Mr. Dad said that these are historic complaints, but I will repeat them again. Over the years, we've been in receipt of complaints from local residents regarding loud amplified music, raised voices, antisocial behaviour and severe parking issues due to the events held in Milan Palace. It has been alleged that on Fridays, Saturdays and Sunday, most notably between 5 and 6 a.m, the residents are routinely subjected to excessive noise, antisocial behaviour and major disruption due to increased traffic, or roads and driveways being blocked, as well as heavy loitering and, from what I've seen, even heavy littering. Initial complaints were made in June, September and October 2024, following a temporary event notice issued for the 9th of June, and then 28th and 29th of September 2024, and then 13th of October 2024. Again, what I've said earlier, due to limited services available, we had to examine the CCTV footage, and it showed exactly what these incidents from July 2025 indicated. So we had numerous events that caused the same issue, and I'm not confident that Ms. James is going to manage this event well when all the other previous events and the engagement that she had with the police, nothing has changed. But I appreciate this is a different temporary event application. The CCTV footage shows street traders serving hot food from a barbecue and exchange of money between the customers and the traders. Not only did these street traders encourage large crowds to gather around the front of the venue whilst they were exiting, but also adding to the nuisance. And I appreciate what Mr. Dad says, that with regards to the church, that they are going to secure that and they will not be using the site. But from the CCTV footage that I have viewed, these vendors are on the pavement. Again, going back to what Ms. James said, we should invest more resources and have our people issuing fines in the morning at 6 o'clock just to manage a private event. Further noise complaints were received on the 22nd of July, and it was regarding the event held in Milan Palace on the 6th of July. The complainant submitted a video and photographic evidence of large crowds gathering in the street, individuals inhaling nitrogen dioxide while sitting in vehicles with doors wide open, canisters scattered around them, large buildup of waste, persons shouting and arguing, others trying to intervene, general chaos. As I said, we viewed this as also videos from a resident and also CCTV footage, and I can confirm that's correct. The immediate area surrounding the Milan Palace is a residential area, with some residential properties being as close as 15 meters from Milan Palace. The video provided by the complainant, as opposed to the public CCTV footage, recorded sound generated by the crowds gathered on the green. The street was completely taken over by these patrons. The noise and nuisance team believes that the events organised at Milan Palace have had a significant negative impact on local residents who have complained of restricted sleep due to ongoing issues from loud amplified music emanating from the premises, as well as raised human voices, illegal parking and antisocial behaviour associated with people leaving the venue. With regards to, apologies, trying to find my previous notes. The venue has failed to promote the licensing objective, especially for the prevention of public nuisance. And although it's not within my remit to talk about crime and disorder, but after reviewing the CCTV footage and the videos sent by the resident, as you can appreciate, we cannot share those videos from a resident, as they will disclose their location. I would say crime and disorder as well. It was totally unacceptable to have large crowds of people blocking the road. You could see people driving to work, minding their own business, people reversing on Osterley Park Road because the patrons were blocking the road going onto the green, and they had to reverse all the way so they can go to work, because these people clearly were either intoxicated or I saw videos with people holding balloons, and they were doing what we call balloons of the nitrogen dioxide, whatever it's called. As I said, the ongoing impact on local residents is significant, and it was well documented through the CCTV and the residents submitted evidence. There's a pattern of events causing disruptions, and residents may not be fully empowered or informed about their right to complain. And it seems like this venue appears to rely on the council services to manage the issues they're responsible for preventing, which I think it's not fair. By us extending the service to manage this event, we'll have to take that away from other residents that have genuine complaints that there'll be a neighbour playing music, they can't sleep, where this event and this premises license, she's not premises license holder, but this applicant should manage that event solely. We shouldn't rely on the council resources to do so, when the noise team and the food safety team and parking, street trading, they could prioritize other issues that are more important, and they should manage themselves if they advertise for these ticketed events. As I said, in my opinion, I don't think this event will be any different, as Ms. James had numerous opportunities to address this behaviour, and they continue to be the same, I'm afraid. Thank you so much, Chair, for that.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you for your contribution. Councillor Ahmed, do you have any question?
Yeah, Chair, now that if you are opening to questions, I do have a question to Mimi. Mimi, first of all, I want to confirm again, there's only one complaint, there's no other complaints registered. That is one question. And then the second one is, you have repeatedly said that there's no resources and you cannot manage anyone selling on the pavement. However, the said premises have got a license until 1 AM, if I am right in reading. So if there is a food vendor on the street during those hours, then what is our position? Where do we stand? Who is going to manage that? That is second question. And then the third one is, after Mr. Dadds has given the presentation, he's given the plan. I'm repeating, they are taking responsibility of the church parking. They are taking responsibility of the parking and directing patrons to parking, and other things that he has mentioned. Does that change your opinion in any way, or you are sticking exactly to where you were? So these are the questions at the moment, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. Mimi, are you happy to reply?
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. Okay, first question was with regards to one complaint. Yes, we do have one. Well, we have two, but I'm not able to disclose the second one. As if I disclose the second one, they want to remain anonymous, so I'm not able to talk about the second one. But we have one complaint that I've provided all the information and all the video recordings that they've sent us. They do not want to be known, and if I do talk about it, the applicant will be aware of their identity.
Right, Mimi, I completely understand you are keeping confidentiality, so we will not be assisting you to disclose that. But
with regards to the food vendors, as you can appreciate, this is not within my remit. I made comments about so these street vendors, from what I've seen on the CCTV, they operate at 5 o'clock in the morning. As you can appreciate, we don't have a service at 5 o'clock in the morning, or a council employee doesn't work at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we would have to go there and catch these people and find out who they are. Sometimes it's just a table with some people cooking chicken or a barbecue. There's no way you can identify them from the CCTV. So someone has to be there, go there 5 o'clock after they finish to identify them, get their business details, and find out what they're doing there. And that includes from both street trading and food safety.
What if they were there at 1 o'clock in the morning?
But again, we don't have a council employee doesn't work at 1 o'clock in the morning. We have to be, if we receive a notification of a temporary event notice, we would have to put resources into it for us to be there to monitor to see what they're doing.
Right. Okay.
So my question is, whose responsibility is it, Mimi?
But those people there are going because of these events. Those people are not there just randomly in Southall any time of the day. Their food safety team would be able to go and check on them. Those vendors arrive there because of these events taking place at Milan Palace. They're not attending there just to serve the public, the Southall public. They're there specifically for that. So they're clearly being called, or someone being called by the applicant or being called by patrons that arrive. I don't know who organizes these vendors. And as I said, when these issues were raised by the police with Miss James, she said it's not her problem, but we have to manage. The council should put resources into it to give. Again, I think the issue was raised with parking on double yellow lines, and what I've seen, they're blocking everything. If you know the entrance to Austerley Park Road, there are cars everywhere. People can't come out safely of driving. They don't have any visibility, and she said that we have to put resources in, and we should give tickets to these people. But again, if that crowd would be managed properly, we wouldn't have these conversations. We wouldn't have to deal with this. They should manage this and not allow those people to cause chaos in the area. I think Dimitri has a question.
Yeah, Councillor Ahmed, I think Mimi concluded your question. I will ask Councillor.
There was another question from Councillor Ahmed. Shall I answer that as well?
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
Okay, so with regards to if we think that anything will change, unfortunately, after reviewing all the evidence and all the complaints that we received, and it seems like every single temporary event notice we've received complaints. And as I said, we reviewed CCTV footage last year. We reviewed CCTV footage this year for 2 incidents, and they've had 8 temporary event notices. They're aware of these issues. I appreciate what Mr. Daz is saying, that things will change, but these issues have been raised. I mean, when do we need to stop this? Who's going to guarantee us that this won't happen again? And what if it happens again? What are we going to do? Put these residents again through this? I think the residents just got fed up. They're just like, well, this happens all the time. We just get used to it, and they move on. And from my experience, as I said, I've worked in this team for a long time, and unfortunately, the experience I have with Southall residents, it just has a known history of lower complaint reporting, and they do not call us if there are issues. And we can't, as a council, we can't go and solicit complaints and say, oh, you're being disturbed. I'm sure if you would have done that, I'm sure there would be a lot of residents that were like, oh, I didn't know you have a service. And I mean, every other day when I speak with residents, they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you have a noise team there. But again, this is not even a noise issue, because the large crowds and we don't have a noise service at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I wish we did, but we don't.
Thank you, Mimi, and I understand your answer to Councillor Ahmed. The council and the people should not celebrate or celebrate anything on councillor resources or councillor manpower, like you rightly said. Councillor Coley, could you have any other question?
Yes, Chair, thank you. A question for Mimi. Basically, do you accept that every 10s event should be treated separately? With the representation given by Mr. David, I hope you don't mind me calling you Mr. David, you know, with the new suggestions that there are going to be 3 people outside, there's going to be people guiding them to the parking places, there's going to be security outside. Does that not give you confidence that things could be much better? So that's the next question. Thirdly, you're talking about previous events. We have not been told about the nature of those events, but we are aware of the nature. This is a birthday party for an elderly gentleman. Does that not also give you greater confidence that this will not repeat this time? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coley. Mimi, please carry on.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Coley. I understand your point, and I'm very well aware. I have attended numerous licensing hearings. I'm aware that these incidents, these temporary event notices, should be treated as a separate application every single time. But at the end of the day, we're trying to prevent the public nuisance, and it's the same applicant. And it's the same applicant that we've addressed these issues before, that we've asked them to change their behavior, and nothing has changed. And next time this happens, then we'll come back here again and say, well, this is a different application and we have to treat it again as a different application. And when is this going to stop? When is this behavior going to stop? If I was able to show the CCTV and if you would have understood, but if you go and speak with the local residents, I'm sure they will tell you the amount of people, hundreds of people on the streets at one time, blocking the road and everything, and litter and the noise and fights. I've seen fights on CCTV footage. I saw a guy this girl was recording a guy was trying to.
Yeah, once again, I have to intervene because
sorry,
Mr.
Dad.
The lady has already been told can't use the CCTV, but also to speak to it is somewhat unfair because I can't respond. I've had to sit here on my hands nearly for 15 minutes to new representations, which I should have been able to address at the beginning. I will deal with them in my closing, but I ask that the reference to the CCTV that's not been disclosed should not be amplified or narrated.
Okay, Mr. Dax,
but your legal advisor may be able to tell you that you should disregard those types of comments because it's unfair to the applicant.
Your point has been noted. Mimi, could you just not include your CCTV event?
Of course, but it was included in my representation, not in my representation, but in the noise and nuisance team's representation, where it clearly it does describe about evidence of large crowds gathering in the streets, individuals inhaling nitrogen dioxide while sitting in vehicles with doors wide open, canisters scattered around them, large buildup of waste.
Can you take advice from?
But that's part of the representation.
Right, Mimi. Yeah, Ms. Davis, you want to intervene something?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Within Mimi's representation, she did make reference to certain aspects that she had seen on the CCTV. If her representations are contained to, if her submissions are contained to what is within her representations, and no expansion, please, additionally to that.
No worries, I apologise. I expanded on the incident with that person.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Maybe could you conclude Councillor Coley's questions here?
Yeah, going back to what I said, as I said, these incidents occurred on different events, different temporary event notice, different party, whatever it was. So that doesn't give me any reassurance because as I said, next time we'll be here talking about the same issue, but next time it'll be a different event. Next time it'll be a different event. And then we kind of have to stop it. And because I'm not confident this is not going to happen again after Ms. James has been approached numerous times. And her only defense was that the council resources should be used for this. That's all. Thank you.
Mimi, sorry, Chair. I should have. Mimi, what I'd like to say, obviously, I have to look at the information presented in front of me. While I respect everything and you are trying to avoid public nuisance, and I greatly respect that, but the information in front of me is now that there's going to be a barrier at the church. There's going to be people guarding certain roads. There's going to be people outside sending them to the Dominion car park. So when I look at the precautions that they are going to take for this particular event, obviously, I have to consider the confidence I'm getting, but does that not give you an element of confidence?
Thank you, Councillor Coley. Mimi, could you conclude that and we will move on from this question? Yeah.
Okay, no worries. As I said, we've raised these issues before, the police have raised this and nothing has changed. I appreciate that they're going to put measures in place, but why didn't they put these measures previously? And when the police asked Ms. James about this, said, well, I didn't know that these things were happening because I was inside the venue. As an applicant, you have to be out there and witness and see what's going on, not just hide in the venue and say, well, sorry, I didn't know what was happening outside. And you can't know once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Again, it doesn't give me the confidence that is going to this is not going to happen again. That's all.
Thank you, Mimi.
Thank you.
Before I ask question to Councillor Ahmed, Sergeant Kassab, would you like to add something on that? You were raising your hand for a long time, yeah.
Yes, Chair. I know Councillor Munir has stated the 1 o'clock. The barbecues come at 5 o'clock in the morning and they set up. That's the time frame. Prior to that, there is nothing out there. So so what happened? I think what Mimi is alluding to here is that those cook-ups, they are aware that this event is happening. So somewhere the two are interlinked, as in information is exchanged in some way or whatever. It is an assumption I'm making here, but I'm just saying. And so those cook-ups set up at 5 o'clock. When the egress happens, they are there, they set up, and then people loiter and it creates the melee outside of large crowds gathering. So that just to ratify and clarify for you, sir, when these cook-ups occur.
Yeah, can I quickly
Thank you, Sergeant Kassar. Councillor Kohli, could you hold your question and I'll come back to you, yeah? Councillor Ahmed, before we go to Mr. Dad's presentation, could you quickly cover your question so we can switch on the conclusion?
Yeah, Chair, my question is to Democratic Officer. Mimi has said several times that Southall residents are not aware that there is a department to complain, or they are aware of their rights. I want to confirm, because in some of the previous hearings, we had a local councillor coming in to talk on behalf of the residents. So if they didn't complain directly, they must have spoken to their local councillor. So if I can ask a Democratic Officer, if any councillor indicated that they wanted to come and speak at this hearing?
No, not that I'm aware of. That would sit with the licensing team if there was any communication on that.
Thank you. Thank you,
Councillor Ahmed. Yeah, before we conclude and go to switch to Mr. Dad's conclusion, Councillor Kohli, you want more? Before I go to you, Councillor Kohli, Ms. Davis wanted to intervene. Ms. Davis.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to make the point that Mr. Dad's entitled to the last word. So you may want to take the final representations from the others prior to going back to Mr. Dad's finally. Just in order of summation of representation, you might want to go to Mr. Dad's at the end, as he's entitled to the last word. So perhaps go to Sergeant Dimitri, and then perhaps Mimi, Stipu, and then Mr. Dad's at the end.
Yeah, that was my intention in the beginning. So yeah, okay.
Thank you,
yes.
Councillor.
So, thank you so much, Ms. Davis, for clarification. That was my intention in the beginning as well. But before we go for conclusion and ask Sergeant Kassar to conclude the representation and Mimi, there is one, Councillor Kohli, I'm giving you opportunity to ask your last question.
Thank you, Chair. It's for the Sergeant Dimitri. You've highlighted again when you spoke last that the serving of food at 5 p.m. But Mr.
5
David, 5 p.m. is the more 5 a.m. Sorry, 5 a.m. So thank you for correcting me. But this is a birthday party. It's been clearly highlighted that there's going to be an extensive amount of food being served all the way till quite late. I just want your opinion. Do you not feel that there won't be those vendors outside this particular event because of they're serving food all the way through the night or early morning?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Kohli, for asking the last question. Sergeant Kassar, could you clarify that before your presentation?
Chair, as mentioned, the demographic of this event is different to what I believe is the 13th and the 6th that we highlighted in the police presentation here. My understanding is that on those two occasions, it was a younger crowd, and my understanding is that they were also advertised as birthday parties. I understand in this instance that the age group that has been stated will be attending is of an older age demographic of 60 and above. Mr. Dads, that is correct. Am I wrong in that assumption? 60 and above, yeah?
Mr. Dad?
No, it's a birthday party for a 60+ person. So obviously, as you can appreciate, yeah, the demographic might be a mixed group,
Different.
but it's
Yeah,
60+.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's 60 and above the age group. That would be it. So I understand in terms of here, we've got a slightly different age demographic. As Mimi has alluded to, and I know I can't bring other stuff, but I know last year there was an incident. Again, the demographic was younger.
Yeah, this should be closing only.
I'm just saying is
it should be closing submissions of what's already been said.
I agree.
It should be
So I'm just
nothing new,
answering.
Chair.
Right.
So,
No, Mr. Dad, this
could
was
you
a
be
question
careful
from
about
in
the
answer
point?
to your question,
Hang on a
I
second.
cannot say. I understand that they have put that they've stated they are going to put all these things in place, but previous events never had these things in place. So once again, I don't know if it will be lip service or whether it will be carried out, because it's into the future. But as stated, and it's only an if these things are in place, then maybe I'd have slightly better confidence. But
Right.
I don't want it to be lip service.
Okay. Sergeant Kassab, that was the reply of Mr. Kohli's question.
Yeah.
Now, I don't see any other question anyone raising, so I'm giving you opportunity to conclude your presentation, and then I will give you opportunity to Mimi to conclude our conclusion, and then we will go for that. So I'm inviting you to do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So in light of what we have discussed today, I appreciate that Mr. Dads has stated that yes, he's correct. We take each temporary event notice on a case-by-case basis. I understand that there has now been provision made in terms of things that have been set out in terms of an event plan regarding this particular event. However, history shows us that these events have caused a major drain on resourcing. It has affected the local community, the church next door, with the egress of people. And in my opinion, it shows a total disrespect for the local people who reside in that particular area. If I was residing there, I'd be complaining to the noise or whoever is present. The one common denominator is the event organizer. I understand these are advertised as birthday parties, and I understand this demographic is older, and I do understand that Mr. Dads has stated that there will be these elements put in place. But I still have trepidation with regards to whether the event will not have an incident or something happen thereafter, due to the fact that we cannot say whether the event will be run as has been adhered to here. And I'm hoping that if that plan is in place, then yes, I would assume and I would hope that it does run better. But history dictates that this is not necessarily the case. And yeah, that is my summation.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sergeant Kassab, for your submission. Now, Mimi, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I'll try to keep it very short. So as I said in my main representation, that further noise complaints were received on the 22nd of July and was regarding these events held at Milan Palace. After reviewing the video and photographic evidence sent by a resident, showing large crowds gathering in the street, individuals inhaling nitrous oxide while seated in vehicles with the doors wide open, numerous canisters scattered around, significant buildup of waste, people shouting and arguing with others, attempting to intervene, resulting in scenes of general disorder. Also, the area immediately surrounding Milan Palace and the is very residential, as we know. You've got Osley Park Road and residents on the green, and some of the residential premises are situated 15 meters away. Unlike the CCTV footage, the video sent by the resident included audio, which was very good to understand from a public nuisance perspective, which had the potential, well, I'm sure it caused the public nuisance based on the level of the noise on that recording. As you can appreciate, when you take video recordings with your phone, it doesn't capture the real level, so it would be much louder in real life than that. I appreciate all the questions from the councillors with regards to me being more confident after what Mr. Dad said. Unfortunately, I'm not. I gave examples of the previous tenants that it's at the end of the day, it's the same applicant that we've that's engaged with the police, and their approach was that we should put more resources in managing their private event. Again, like my colleague Dimitri said, that I appreciate each event should be treated as one separate incident and one separate event, and not take the history into consideration. But how can we not take this history into consideration where these things have been happening for such a long period of time? And no, I don't have any confidence that this will change, even with these measures. With regards to the church, if they don't get access to the church, they'll get access to the pavement, which that's what they've been doing, and that's where they are. They have street traders on the pavement. But the applicant's attitude was that we should put more resources into this and manage a private event. Unfortunately, we have a lot of complaints that we can deal with, and I don't think it's fair on other residents or on council resources to do this, to manage another private event. That's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi, and I appreciate your conclusion. Now, I'm going to ask Mr. Dads. Finally, you have got opportunity to conclude your representation.
Well, look, Mimi's very robust, and I actually think she's quite determined. However, she still has to go within the rules, and the rules say any decision you make must be based on evidence. She said it in her own representation. There's only one registered complaint at the Borough Council, and only one complaint that is put before you as evidence. And using the principle Daniel Thwaite, you must make your decision based on evidence. She's correct. You forward look at preventing crime disorder, but you look at what the complaint history is, and you look at where it is now. She refers to in her speech, closing speech, about it's been going on for such a long time now, but we're referring to two matters in July. And during that, after that, there's been engagement with the church and with the police to look at those concerns raised and what steps can be put in place to mitigate or minimise those risks going forward, which you've heard the plan, speaking to the police, speaking to the council. I do not accept the submission about the attitude of it's someone else's problem, because that's not the case of Miss James. She's engaged, and it's about partnership working. I think the point has been lost by the officer, is that what she's saying is that if there is someone illegally trading on the street and illegally selling food without a license, setting up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, that's a criminal offence, and that the police can arrest or deal with that individual, or the council can too under the food safety regulations. So what we're saying is that individuals in society in their own right must be law abiding, and if they do not comply with the law, then it's either the council or the police can enforce that law. It can't be for Miss James, and I think it's been misunderstood. What the complaint is generally about is someone is assembling and selling food, that attracts people. Those people congregate, don't leave the area. We've recognised that. So what we say is those are not linked to us. They are taking advantage of people dispersing and trying to sell their food. We've said, well, we will make sure the food is available until everyone leaves, and it's free at the point of purchase, in effect, or, you know, given, taken. So there's no reason why anyone would want to leave to purchase food, and I think that should be welcomed. The marshals in the street to direct them at the right parking before they park, before they enter, and before they leave, so people are in the right place. Managing the car park with the church, managing outside. As you've heard from the police, it's not about inside, it's about outside, and it's about dispersal. And we have got a plan, and we will put that plan in place. Each application must be judged on its own merits, must be based on evidence. And Ms. James must be, she's given you a plan of what is to take place. And if she comes back in the future, I'm sure all councillors will be asking the question, what happened? How did you do? What did you do? So ultimately, it is a stepped approach. The steps that we are proposing are measured, proportionate, and I believe that the licensing objectives can be met. And I ask that the temporary event be granted as applied for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dodds. Thank you for conclude your representation. Now, we, as a licensing subcommittee, we hear and listen the concern of different stakeholders, different parties. So now, what we'll be doing, we'll be retiring as a subcommittee, and we'll be coming back around about 1 o'clock. Ms. Davis, what do you think?
Thank you, Chair. And of course, it's a matter for the committee, but that seems like a sensible time.
Councillor Rahman?
Yeah, Chair, I may not be able to attend the decision announcement. So if I can't make it, then apology for that. But I won't be needed there anyway.
Thank you so much, Councillor Rahman. Thank you for your contribution this afternoon. Yes, Mr. Dodds?
Sorry, Ms. Davis, just to let you know that I've been called to an urgent meeting hearing for this afternoon. So if I could be excused, as I've given representation, I'm wondering if the council officer or Democratic Services could email me the decision of the committee, if that's permissible by the chair and yourself.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Dodds. That is permissible, and thank you for letting the committee know.
Thank you. And thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dodds. Yeah, Councillor Cooley?
Chair, similar position to Councillor Munir. I will not be able to come back for the decision, but that's not needed to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, thank you for your contribution as well, Councillor Cooley, and your time this morning. Yes, so Ms. Davis, by looking at that situation, do you think we will be all right if we will decide around 1 o'clock?
Yeah, 1 o'clock is fine, Chair. 1 o'clock is fine.
It seems so, Chair. You can announce your decision at 1 o'clock, and all parties will be notified of it additionally.
If it's not ready at 1 o'clock, we can always let the parties know that it's not ready, but 1 o'clock should be fine.
Yeah, but decision will be, whatever decision will be, we will be making today, because this is a temporary event, of course, yeah. So you will be notified today, and we will be coming back at 1 o'clock. Thank you for your time. Mr. Dad, do you want to say something? Or you are saying goodbye? Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and we will be back at 1 o'clock for decision.
Thank you.